And we are talking with Chief Vogel, Fire Chief of the South Lyon Fire Department. Welcome, Chief Vogel.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming out here this morning and talking to us a bit about the situation we continue to be in here with coronavirus and how it's impacting the South Lyon community. So a question I have for you is for the fire department, how has responding to emergencies changed for yourselves over the past couple of months?
So I, on my calendar, marked March 12th as the day that our world changed.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up that morning and I heard about an NBA player got the virus, and it just seemed to be a dominoes effect across the country. When the schools officially made their decision to close, our world dramatically changed.
Right.
We had to make a lot of changes. Step one was we evaluated how much masks and personal protective gear we had, and we realized we are short.
Mm-hmm.
So that stress level went up. We realized that we needed to immediately suspend all training. So all training with each other stopped.
Mm-hmm.
We have then adapted to some online training. We have a cadet program, which is in the high schools for people under 18 in high school. We immediately suspended that.
Right.
That was a tough decision. We had to also shorten or lessen how many people came to calls. As a paid-on-call department, it was a terrible decision I had to make where we only try to send 2 people
Mm-hmm.
to medical emergencies. It affected people's wallets, but I think it also affected the morale. We worked pretty hard to try to adapt. We've been using Zoom to try to engage the young people. It really was a tough 3 weeks. And then when we started getting sick employees, and I had 3 going to quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
some dramatic decisions were starting to be made about what kind of calls we're going to go to. How are we going to respond to people, to 911s in the city? I was pretty proud of my team. We got through it. When about mid-April came, I feel like we've got through the hardest part, and we started to get people healthy again, out of quarantine.
Right.
Medical calls kind of went down. It's weird. I haven't been into a business in weeks for a call, right. Either a fire, well, besides a couple little small restaurant
right.
fires, but
right.
It really changed our world.
Right.
And we still are, they quickly, Oakland County utilized the emergency management system really quick. I ended up taking a spot, part of the team where I was in charge of communications. So that added a little bit of stress. And we still, to this day, we're still doing conference calls, and I'm pretty happy response with the Oakland County. They quickly were able to get utilized and get us masks. We are now the central part of the city for personal protective equipment.
Good.
And we continue to keep looking at policies and changing.
Right. Well, let's kind of take the conversation to, because I know you mentioned that, obviously some of the emergency responses have gone down over the past couple of months. But that might be a concern, because I know in the past you probably would have responded to different calls for medical assistance, and it seems like right now people might be more hesitant to that. So
right.
What would you say as far as, because I know doctors seem to be concerned about people not seeking treatment. What have you seen from that perspective?
So an interesting trend started that we noticed in about April, where people seem to be not calling 911. Mm-hmm. And if they did, they were having the symptoms way before they called 911. And on these conference calls with the EOC, the Oakland County Emergency Management Team, the doctors were getting on and saying, we have to encourage these people. If they think they need a doctor, you call your doctor or you call 911.
Right.
The delay on calling was causing some critical issues for people's health.
Mm-hmm.
And they ensured us all that they're taking the measures to make sure that if you come to the hospital, you are protected. You will be safe. If you feel you need a hospital or a doctor, call.
Right.
You can start with your personal physician, start there, or if it's more urgent, call 911. We wear masks. We put a mask on the patient. We try to protect each other. The ambulance is doing the same, and the hospital is also doing the same.
Right.
So if you feel the need, please see your doctor, contact your doctor.
Good. Great advice. And you kind of mentioned there too, so, from a change on your department, obviously you're probably using masks and PPE quite a bit more. What other changes have you made, both with your personnel? I know you had a few that were not feeling well, so they were quarantined and so forth. But even at the facilities, how do you help ensure that there is a, decrease the chances of the spread of the coronavirus?
So probably late March, we were getting calls and they would tell us possible COVID or not, but it was causing a lot of stress.
Sure.
So we made the decision to say, let's stop looking at the numbers. Let's stop getting caught up in the numbers. Let's just treat everybody as COVID positive. And that included masks on every call. We literally treat every call, including the fire calls. If we don't need to wear our self-containing breathing apparatus, we have a mask on to go in your house to look for some issues.
Right.
And it just made it easier. Now, it did cause another issue where we were really burning through the personal protective gear.
Right.
I'm always online looking for masks and sanitizers and wipes. The fire department has been designated the storage area or the supply for the whole city. This includes wastewater, DPW, the police department, and City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So that's currently where we're at, is preparing how much. Every day I have a meeting with a department head somewhere in the city. How's your gear? How's your masks? How's your gloves? How's your sanitizer?
Right. And how do you?
And that's current.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No.
How do you typically then procure most of that PPE then? Is there a process you work through either here at the county or at the state level, or how do you typically, because I know even for myself, just as a individual, it's always more challenging to get any type of even getting toilet paper, which is probably the least of our concern.
Yeah, for us, it was masks. For the rest of the world, it was toilit paper, right?
Exactly.
So when it started off, it was a scramble. I was literally begging other fire departments to give me a couple, 5 here, 10 here.
Yeah.
I even had a councilman come. Kivel happened to have some in his garage for woodworking. He donated.
Sure.
And then Oakland County was able to, I think, I don't want to misquote it, but I think it was 500,000 masks.
Okay.
And they quickly got it to some of the high stress areas, Southfield, et cetera. And then it trickled down to us.
Right.
And we now have a constant update daily about how's your PPE? Do you need a thermometer? Do you need gloves? Do you need sanitizers? We put in a health ticket and we hope.
Right.
They then go up the chain to the state of Michigan, who then goes to FEMA.
Okay.
We also, Amazon set up a specialized essential/first responder page where if you get verified, we could go in there and try to see if they have masks and wipes and stuff like that. But that we had to purchase. The Oakland County stuff is free.
Right. And speaking of that, is the community able to donate to the fire department directly, or
so
how is that process?
What I've been telling people is a lot of people, great people, were making masks, right? And they wanted to donate it to them. We prefer the N95s.
Right.
I told these wonderful people making these masks, go to the nursing homes, hit some of the, when this hit in March, I did a risk analysis. What keeps me up at night? Colonial Acres, the South Lyon Rehab Center.
Right.
And so when people call me up and say, I want to donate masks, I say, reach out to those two communities. And it's worked pretty good.
Good.
I've heard it.
If someone did have N95 masks though, or other, more elevated type of.
Yep. We would
they be able to drop those off there?
Yep, we do.
Okay.
You just contact us by phone. We schedule a contact list. You just drop it at the door, hit the bell, get in your car, and then we retrieve it.
Great.
And that has happened, and it's been great. I really appreciate the way this town has come to our help.
It's always good, always good.
Yep.
Now, from an emergency perspective too, now obviously in some instances, very few people now are, commuting into work on a daily basis. So obviously you have probably seen some type of drop in some types of emergencies that you responded to in the past. But have you seen changes in other types of emergencies that you responded to? Is it just simply the fact where people are not seeking medical treatment for some of those conditions that they normally would have in the past? Or is there anything else that you would throw out there of kind of unique situations that we're in right now as to the types of emergencies you're responding to?
Yes, I'll be fascinated in the summer when things kind of level out, when I can go back and really dig into the numbers. Car crashes have pretty much come non-existent.
Right, which is good.
Yeah, literally, you could get on the highway in the morning for me to come into work and I wouldn't see a car.
Right.
Now I feel like, Michigan's waking up. The highway's busy again. I noticed Friday I had to step on the brakes for the first time on 96. I haven't done that in a while. But so the type of medical calls were way down. I know I spoke to the private ambulance, and they literally saw at first probably a slash of 20% in calls.
Right.
I'm not sure we had that dramatic of a cut, but we did see a dip.
Right.
Now we had a busy weekend. I feel like, we're, like I said, we're coming awake and things are picking up.
And we've been kind of blessed by having not terrific weather, so people trying to get
the snow helped, right? You keep it inside.
Helps. And but this weekend will be a bit more of a challenge as we approach, finally some 70s temperatures. So hopefully people, kind of like when you get the first snow, be careful, slow down when you're driving on snow for the first time. But maybe now it's more of a hey, be careful because it's sunny and warm out. Be careful how you drive because there are actually other people on the road.
This town was really, really good. I was pretty proud of the citizens of this town. There was a couple small issues, but it never really turned into a big deal. That the town, there was days where you could walk in town on a Monday morning and it was just a ghost town.
Right.
And I think that's why we kept our numbers low. We didn't hit those high risk areas that I was worried about. It never really got rampant in some of those areas. I think the town did great. We were getting 5 to 7 calls a week for people locked in their house for a little child having a birthday and wanted to know if we could do a drive-by with the fire truck.
Yep.
We're still doing those. We did lots of them. They've been a big hit. I always schedule with the police department, and it just, you could sense that people really listened.
Yep.
There was a lot of people in their houses looking out the window, and you said, "Oh, this town did good."
Good to hear. Now, a question I have as you start to pivot too. So obviously coronavirus has been kind of a unique health situations here in South Lyon. And I think, for the past number of years, we prepared for, terrorist threats and other national emergencies. What other steps do you have in place, from a fire department perspective to help respond to these, broader national types of emergencies? And how does this type of situation help you, prepare firsthand for those types of responses?
Well, we learned quickly that we had to rely more on the neighbors than we thought we'd ever would. When I did get to a point where I had a small percentage of the staff quarantined and it seemed like it wasn't going to stop, we started setting up special agreements with my surrounding neighbors. We changed. I don't see us taking masks off for a long time on calls. I think even 6 months from now on a medical, we probably will still be wearing masks. We still will put a mask on the patient. Just until we get a vaccine, I'm not sure that things change a lot. I think we become maybe a little more social, but we're going to follow the rules. The question, like this weekend where it's 70 degrees, what will it look like?
Yep.
And it'd be a good indicator. It'll be, or when we start having bars and restaurants open again.
Right. Yep. Exactly. We are planning on just the same way we respond now, we will in 3 months. Right.
In August.
I think we've seen it in the past too I remember back in their, probably late 70s, early 80s where, perhaps you're doing a blood draw or something like that, people would rarely wear protective gloves, whereas now it's just a common thing for all different types of diseases that are out there. And, again, to lessen the chances for communicating that disease from one person to another. So again, just some of those standard processes that seem to be in place.
It's an excellent, I was using TSA. 2000, when you took a flight, there was very little security.
Right, yeah.
Now, TSA is just built into our system where we take our shoes off and we go through a scan, and it just becomes part of our, and I believe that unless we, and maybe it'll be like this forever. You know, this seemed to be a wake up of how easily this crippled our country.
Right.
For a virus.
Right. Well, it's amazing with advances in technology. I know, like the body heat scan. I know airports around the world have used those in the past from international arrivals. Now you probably start to see those more just as a common thing there at the TSA. So, yeah, it is quite a change that we are going through, and it's great to hear that the fire department here in South Lyon has been able to change and adapt quickly to the situation. Again, make sure that you're available to respond to any emergencies here within South Lyon. So, I guess one last question I have for you as we kind of wrap up. You know, anything that you'd like to add to about the community response to the fire department?
On behalf of the police department, the fire department, Chief Sovic, and myself, I am so grateful to the people of South Lyon, the way they came to us with thank you notes, nice emails, and then the lunch donations. It has been absolutely priceless that we don't have to worry about having a meal on some days. I couldn't even begin to thank everybody, the small businesses in town that have stayed up, Pro Pizza, Little Caesars. It's just been Alecco's, McDonald's, Hungry Howie's. It's just been great. People have been so good, and I just need to thank everybody who's thought of us, made a small donation, or just a thank you for our service. We're really grateful, and just know that we were always serving, and we were always looking out for your safety.
Great, appreciate that. And again, from South Lyon and from here SLAP TV, we definitely thank you, yourselves, and the fire department for being on those front lines and being out there to respond in any situation. And you have been for years, and we continue looking forward to having you be there for the community going forward. So, well, thank you to Chief Vogel this morning for coming out and speaking with us. And stay safe. And hopefully we'll talk to you in a couple months, and with a lot of the stuff behind us, and we'll talk about, again, more the enjoyable types of fire department, like rescuing kitty cats out of the trees, and stuff like that. The more
there you go.
So,
well, thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief Vogel. Take care.
Bye-bye.